Yeah, that's what we do. We put people on.
That's that shit, yeah.
You should know.
That's what we put on for our city.
That's the new standard way.
Can we get a super plate?
Yeah. I thought you'd wear your new standard shirt too, at least.
He's got a new standard underwear.
I would, yeah. I'm got my new standard tramp stamp on.
That's it. Can you take it off?
No.
That's the banter, everyone.
Once you're in the club, you can't leave.
It's record. Is it not record? Fucking shit.
It's really not that difficult to hit the button. But you're
It's
a man,
not
so I
that
guess
difficult
it
to
is.
either. But here
I
we
will
are.
Fuck you up.
Ooh, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another, and by another I mean the second episode of Raising Spirits with your friends at New Standard. I'm Will.
I'm Nate.
And we're here to ask the question, what would Hammer do?
Stop. Hammer time?
He definitely wouldn't collaborate and listen.
They can do that. Anyway, hey Will, you read that McDonald's is assessing their franchisees and making sure, and I think this is a good holding them accountable for each of their locations, but they're assessing them based off of the offer of value for their customers.
Are they bringing back the McDLT?
I'm not familiar with that, but I'm sure they offer it through the app.
That was for our senior audience there.
I remember the Ribwich through Simpsons.
McRib? I do love the McRib.
Yeah. But I think what I took away from this article, a few of the things was, one, I think standardizing McDonald's is a staple when it comes to, obviously fast food, and they're consistent, right? That's what has made them successful. You can go to McDonald's in any state. Yeah, you might have a couple variations of some items and things in other countries that you don't have maybe in the States, but they're consistent. You know what you're going to get. It's that same taste. My daughter, every time she sees those golden arches, she wants French fries.
I might have a different take on everything. My mom raised us by working at McDonald's, so I had my fair share, and I know for sure that value has definitely been a core tenet of their success, and frankly, along with a lot of other fast food options, they've gotten away from it in recent years.
Well, yeah, and the more I read this article, and I'm thinking of value, well, shit, they had the value menu, right? But I remember that back in high school, it was like, man, you could go there with $20 and you could get 5 double cheeseburgers. You get some. Obviously, I'm not just eating for myself, but again, going to put down some food, soak up some booze later in the evening, and you could get away with something $20 or less, and have 3 or 4 of the people in the car filled. Nowadays, I don't even think it's called the value menu, because it's not the dollar menu anymore, unfortunately. And I came to realize that one of my more recent trips, where they offer multiple crispy chicken sandwiches, not just the
McChicken.
Yeah, not just the McChicken. Now they have a different type of chicken that's a little bit more premium, a little more robust on the wallet. And but I think this is ultimately it's a good thing that they're doing. They're holding all of their franchisees accountable, and they want to be known for providing that value.
Yeah, I know. I've read a few articles that your more well-to-do diners are downgrading their dining options when they go out. To where fast food is entering the rotation for a lot more folks. And at the same time, your lower income diners are getting priced out, because a lot of times fast food is costing just as much as a sit-down dinner.
Absolutely. When you go in there and you're going into the next 20 to come away with a meal for you and the family, it doesn't really feel like fast food. It hits different now. So I think between that and then obviously seeing the apps coming out, your rewards, everybody's looking for that value. Every time the Cavs win, I get the notification on my phone now, $2 French fries tomorrow or today. So value is what sparks, I think, and it's going to drive more business, which is what they're looking at, across the board, big picture.
Yeah, I think they leaned in a little too much on that technology at the beginning. Information is valuable. And by getting, not only your contact information, but your purchasing history, they'll know how exactly to market to you. They don't have to have a big marketing campaign anymore. They don't have to rely on a dollar menu. They can rely on a Nate menu and a Will menu and send exactly what we're looking for at the time we're looking for it based on all that information. And what that does, that prices out and reduces that overall value for your everyday consumer.
Yeah, that's definitely I think a perfect example of utilizing technology, and whether it's just the app or AI, to help market to your customers. I think back last month I had a birthday offer, and gave me like 8 options. And I pull up to the window. I'm like, I just want a large fry. I just want the fry. For my daughter in the back, and they're like, yeah, you can't get fries at this location for your birthday coupon, which I could have saved this for a later segment. But
What the fuck is this?
shout out to that. But yeah, I think again, you can know your customer, and I think that's going to be the best way to continue to get repeat business and understand what triggers them to come on in. Between that, geofencing and all the different opportunities that are out there now with technology, I think they're obviously trying to use it to their advantage, as most companies in the hospitality industry are now.
I'm definitely excited for them to get back to the roots of what made them successful in the first place. Nate, you traveling for the holidays?
I am not. I might go to the kitchen or fridge.
No, that's a fridge too far sometimes. But it turns out 54% of people are planning to travel between Thanksgiving and mid-January. And their budget is down about 18% year over year.
That sounds like a significant amount. I definitely feel like going into this year and throughout the year, some of the economic changes and uncertainties have led people to be a little bit more budget conscious. So I could definitely see how that might impact, travelers looking to do things a little bit cheaper and or canceling out altogether.
Yeah, between making up for lost time, algorithmic pricing, and just surge pricing in general, I'm definitely much more picky about where I stay and where I travel these days.
Yeah, you're probably looking for that budget-conscious value menu of options as well.
I want the McChicken is what I want.
That's it.
It turns out 1 in 5 high-income travelers that answered this survey that was put on by our friends at Deloitte. Shout out to Deloitte. That's the first time they ever got shouted out in the podcast. They say they're worse off financially than they were a year ago, and they're cutting in the places that we live, which is in our travel and our leisure time.
Yeah, I think oftentimes you see that with that, again, uncertainty economically. It's you cut out those things or you reduce spend on those things. The fun things, a lot of times it is, so it's the travel, it's the enjoyment, and so you look to do things at a little bit cheaper rate, or again, cancel them altogether. I think, this article I saw spoke to that, where more travelers would utilize their car to go on a trip versus take a plane or buy a ticket. So again, doesn't mean they're canceling altogether, but I think these studies have shown that it's decreasing significantly this year.
Yeah, especially as more and more of the younger generations join the traveling masses. Gen Z is starting to leave the nest. Obviously, elder millennials like you and I are included in this. That whole group, Gen Z, is planning to reduce their budget by 31%. So already starting off in their adult life with some of that bargain shopping, it's really going to be up to the brands to make sure that they're speaking value menu language to a discerning generation of customers.
Yeah, I think, and that's interesting too, because if I remember correctly from the read, I think their overall volume of travel is up. It's just that their spend is down. Mm-hmm. So I think more traveling, but at a lesser, with a smaller budget. And
they're using AI, so they're finding the best deals. If you're not putting those deals out there, you're not even going to be on their radar.
Yeah, another interesting tool. Again, you think of AI, and I've had a friend who literally planned their whole trip. And matter of fact, don't you plan some of your travels through AI?
I dabble here and there, but you'll hear in a couple future episodes here. We'll be on the road full time. We travel this great land of ours here, and it is getting harder and harder to find those deals. You do have to employ a little bit of AI chicanery to find the best value that you can get.
And I think it's a good benefit too, because if you're not traveling to somewhere where you know all the ins and outs, again, use it to your advantage. Find out top 10 things to go see or visit, and maybe you plug in that at a low budget or free. Free 99 is always good.
One disturbing stat that I read in this article is that 44% of employed travelers intend to work on their holiday trip. That is down year over year, 49% last year, but still almost half of people working over their vacation Travel just isn't what it used to be. He said oldly.
Yeah, it's I could think I'm gonna be working right around the holidays, and again, being in the hospitality industry, we're used to it. Maybe it's ingrained in us. But when I was young, I remember taking the holiday week, and even in college, it's you're off for a few weeks and going out to find a trip or study abroad or do something else. So I think with budget and the economy, I think it's driving more people to stay locked in throughout the holidays.
It is one of the downsides of the hustle culture, making sure that you're always available. My hope is that these younger generations do find the opportunity to unplug and really appreciate what's around them to the greatest degree they possibly can. While still meeting their obligations. A working trip is better than no trip at all, but the best trip is a trip without your phone.
That's it. Gives you that peace of mind for sure.
The best trip is mushrooms.
So I also saw that sports hospitality market's planning to soar over the next handful of years.
Sports.
Yeah, go sports. Shout out to Angel. So I was $12 billion in 2024, and they estimate to reach almost $14 billion in 2025. Some of the key market opportunities include that for digital engagement and personalized experiences, as well as AI integration.
Yeah, it's getting much more complex with in-seat dining, interactive AR and VR on the field, contactless payments. It is a much different game than it used to be with peanuts and Cracker Jacks.
And I think from the hospitality industry perspective, it's engagement in the overall experience is huge for every customer, and finding ways to again enhance that feeling. That's what you walk away with. It's not always something materialistic. Just finding different ways to enhance that experience, and that's what should be done. I went to the Browns Stadium earlier this year, and again, contactless payment. Just grab whatever beer you want or drink from the cooler. Stop up, put it on the machine. It tells you what it is and pays. It tells you how much to pay and put your card there. Some of it's for convenience, some of it's, I'm sure from a labor perspective it helps out. But then you got your in-app or in-seat ordering, as you mentioned, and even from a VIP perspective, we had the privilege of sitting on field through our partnership with the Browns over the years, and that overall experience, having your own private bar, having lobster tails on Sunday morning before the game, open bar. That experience, you can't buy it always. So I think they definitely hit the nail on the head when trying to accommodate and take care of their visitors to that facility.
No, it continues to grow as a market, and my hope is as we embrace these new technologies to make different, faster, and more creative experiences, that we don't lose sight of that personal touch, and making sure that our customers, in sports and in all industry, get the attention and the value. Going back to our McDonald's conversation, the value for the spend. If you're going to make me purchase my own beer and be my own cashier, then the visuals need to be there, the queuing needs to be there, the technology needs to work seamlessly. Like, all those things need to line up to make that additive to my experience, because the prices of the ticket are definitely not going down.
That's for sure. Yeah, I think to some of these, stadiums in cities that have been on the forefront, and initially I think to Gillette Stadium and their whole kind of area and community around the stadium that is a fan favorite now, and it drives, families and visitors from all over, even not just from for the game day or for the game. It provides them an area, and I think back to my hometown in Green Bay, the Titletown district that they've worked on over the past handful of years. They got your turf field, your 40-yard dash area. You got your sledding hill for in the winter. You got an ice skating rink out there. You got your breweries, your golf simulators, your hotels, all of that. So, the Kohler Lodge, shout out to Kohler out there. You got literally everything you need. And again, that destination now, it's not just during the 17 weeks of the season. That's a place to visit throughout the year now.
That's definitely something a lot of these guys are focusing on. We were in St. Louis last year. I went to Busch Stadium, and that entire district, you're not just buying a ticket to the game, you're buying a ticket to the experience. You're joining, 30,000 other fans to have that piece of the energy. So there's much more to it than just a seat and a hot dog.
You know who you can find in St. Louis?
On Dubs?
Nelly. Oh! Yeah, I think the other thing I saw that they're pushing too is fan merchandise right now. I think of a lot of the cross branding between all the. I just recently found out there was a Packer Antisocial Social Club collaboration with the streetwear company out of California there, and I missed that drop. But just to see some of that, I saw Lil Wayne's got a Carter Packer. And I've seen the OVO jackets that are collab with the Packers. I've seen Lululemon is a big one now, with the ladies and guys. But they're collaborating with NFL, and a lot of their items I see constantly sold out on the websites. But again, I think it brings more recognition, brand awareness. I mean, just that cross right there. I know their merchandise numbers. They're raising the bar there.
That tribalism is part of the experience. So you look at even in the minor leagues, minor league baseball teams across the nation have been creating new team names for local things. Locally we had the Akron Rubber Ducks become the Akron Cheese Salads, looking at local pizza place Luigi's and celebrating them, which is cute. You could have a Luigi's Day at the ballpark, but creating a whole line of merch to go with that. That's another revenue outlet that they created, and the fans want to be a part of that, because if you're not in it, you're out.
What the fuck is this?
We're going back to back with What the Fuck Is This with Nate, like 96, 97 Jordan.
Oh, man, Lethal Weapon. So, I had another situation. Go figure. I'm a consumer, so I find to run into him.
If you looked at him, folks, you'd know he consumes.
So I ordered this bed, right? New bed, new mattress. For up in the room, that's where the magic happens. So got to re-up every once in a while, and went to a furniture store that's well known. And again, not going to shout them out or call them out, but they basically told me there was a 3-week wait for the bed. They come with a little motorized, where the head raises and the feet can go up, and as a base instead of the box spring these days. And I also got my daughter a new bed. And so 3 weeks later, the delivery occurs this past week, and guys bring it upstairs. They're hooking up this remote-controlled box spring, let's call it, and sure shit, it doesn't work. And so he says, I have to call my tech support. So the gal answers the phone, and she's like, well, you got to pair it. You got to pair it to this remote-controlled box spring. And he's like, ma'am, it's a wired cord. There's no pairing involved. And so I'm kind of standing back. I like to be involved in things when they're going on. So I'm sure these guys enjoy me sipping my espresso, looking over their shoulders like, what the hell are you doing? So as he goes back and forth with her for a while, the international fix-it method of unplug it for a minute and see if that works didn't
Shout out to every IT person across the country.
That did not fix it. So he hands me the phone. He says, she wants to talk to you. And I say, all right, well, hello, I'm Nathan, and I'm Caitlin. So it looks like your remote control box spring is not working.
I'm sure it looked like that.
So we're gonna order you a new one. I said, all right, that sounds good, I guess. And when is it coming? Well, we don't know that yet. We're gonna have to wait till tomorrow morning when the order gets submitted to see what the lead time is on it. I said, all right. That's fine. Just keep me posted. And she said, yeah, the guys are going to pack up the old box spring and take it with them. I said, what the hell am I going to sleep on tonight? I'm not looking to lay this mattress on the carpet. I mean, I've done that in some college days and early after, but
put it next to the spool.
No, I'm a full-fledged adult now. Give me something to put that mattress on. And she says, no, we don't provide lenders. I said, well, it's not a lender. I paid my $4,700 3 weeks ago for these couple mattresses and the box springs. A pretty penny, let me tell you.
They better be sleeping for you.
And I tell the lady, I didn't question that. I paid my money up front. I expect this to be delivered on the date you said it was going to be delivered 3 weeks later, and it's not fully functioning. But you're not taking this not working box spring out. And she said, yeah, they have to. That's our policy. I said, your policy is probably to deliver the product in which you promised to, but you didn't. So, unforeseen times call for different things to take place. So why don't you go talk to whoever you got to talk to? Well, I am the manager, sir, she tells me. Well, I didn't know that. You're the IT person, the tech person, and the manager. And so I said, well, you got to understand this is not acceptable. She says, well, I guess we can do this one time. Well, I don't plan on buying a bed anytime soon again, but we can do this one time and we'll leave you with this lender, but please don't overuse it or let any pets up on it. That tells me they're
On
gonna
the box springs?
They tells me they're gonna reuse this thing, and some poor soul is gonna get this that's been sitting in my house. To what I found out a day later is gonna be 3 more weeks. So here I'm riding this non-operating box spring, which is fine. I don't need all those fancy ups and downs. But what really baffled me was the service and how they were wrong and not able to provide something right. I'm not looking for anything extra. I'm just looking for what I paid for, as I told the lady. So again, the fact that their policy, as she stated, is to take the not working item, even if they're only leaving me with 2/3 of the order, I just told her it wasn't acceptable, and she eventually caved. So
Just goes to show, never trust a company run by sheep. Hey, Nate, what are you doing in 2026?
well, I couldn't tell you.
Well, hopefully it's this podcast because of the legions of loyal listeners. But what we do know via our friends at HospitalityNet is some predictions of what the hospitality industry will be doing in 2026, and thought that might be fun to discuss.
Hold up. I didn't tell you what the listeners what we were drinking today. I gotta rewind real quick.
Oh.
That's a frame. That's a
Yep,
window.
yep,
That's
yep.
a window that's open. Hold up. Today we're
Hold on, let me spit this out.
Today we're drinking some Angel's Envy Rye.
Yes, indeed.
Okay, this is a beautiful bourbon here that I was introduced to at my man Will's wedding down in New Orleans, and
Drank some up.
shout out to his wife Sabrina for putting up with him and inviting me down to the wedding a few years back. But that was my first experience with this Angel's Envy Rye, and this one hits the spot, man. So I want to make sure the viewers knew what we were drinking today.
Yeah, get you some of this. Not a sponsor, but aged on some Caribbean rum barrels is imagine alcoholic maple syrup in the best possible way. That's a terrible explanation, but that's how it hits your tongue. A lot of upfront sweetness, some nice spice in the back, got a little bit of bite. Easy drinking, not for mixing. You're gonna want to drink this by itself, but it is refreshing in a way that would only make sense if you tasted it.
Plus the bottle's cool as shit too.
Oh, cool shit bottle helps.
All right, as you
Get
were.
your wings. So, 2026, to catch you all up, 2026 hospitality trends, what the industry is looking forward to. Number one, should be no surprise, it's AI. AI is going to become a backbone of the industry. You know, it's no longer a when it gets here, it's here, and we're knee deep in it. Half of what we're seeing is if not wholly created, augmented by AI. It is in everything, including our CRMs, our pricing models, forecasting. It's driving decisions. In some cases, it's making decisions.
Yeah, I think some shudder at the sound of AI incorporating into your business. And again, just like anything else, if you don't know what it is, you're probably a little bit leery about it. But I think it's about maximizing the use and what it can provide you. It's not always there to replace a team member or FTE or a job, but I think maximizing what the potential that it can bring you, information and reading or deciphering that knowledge, so you as a hospitality leader can make the best decision, for your brand and your company.
Yeah, if Juvenile could remake a song about COVID, I think it's time for Nelly to remake EI into AI. I'm going to take a writing credit on that. Refinancing pressure is going to reshape ownership. Interest rates, though coming down, are still high. A lot of refinancing is forcing owners to face hard choices. Either refinance at a higher cost now, or seek new partners, or risk not being able to pay the bills.
Yeah, I think it definitely pushes operators to think about these things and how they can maximize efficiencies. You gotta keep up with the times, whatever times those are, and being able to pivot, be flexible. That's what's going to get these owners and companies through these.
I think it's important for owners to remember that there is some power that they still wield. If none of us are in business, nobody's making any money. There's a local outfit, very popular but closed because of rising rent. It was no longer affordable to be in the same space, so they ended up shuttering their operation. That landlord realized that he was being outrageous. Nobody else was going to rent that space for what he was asking. They came back to the negotiating table, and now that venue is open for business and hopefully doing very well. And we had a nice little beverage in that room earlier today.
Shout out.
Shout out to Acronym Brewery. Yeah, it comes down to knowing your worth, as some would say, and knowing that refinancing is not always, a sign of defeat. It's a sign of knowing where to put your money.
Yeah, and I think along the lines of always more with less, I see that insurance costs climbing, but coverage depleting.
God, insurance aggravates the shit out of me. Not just dealing with it personally, but seeing other people dealing with it. Seeing our friends in Washington not being able to come up with a solution that's really going to address the core of the problem. But also watching healthcare professionals deal with it in ways that shrink not only the encouragement, but also the ability for a lot of them to give the care that's necessary. Across the board, I think there needs to be a little bit of a remembrance that at the end of the day, it's about a person's health.
Yeah, there's
May have got a little political there.
there's always someone behind the number, and I think that's what us in our business, the service industry, we focus on, and obviously not all industries do. So
it's true, and it's not just about health insurance either. You got a lot of different things you need to be insured against in business, and it's getting harder and harder to know how to make the right decisions. So I know recently a very popular real estate app just eliminated flood and heat and wind risks from their listings due to pressure from a professional group that was infringing, maybe not infringing, but impeding their ability to sell homes in some of these more risky areas. So not everybody is petitioning for the common good. So, being smart, staying educated on what's going on, and finding like-minded professionals like yourself to team up with. The real ability to combat these rising costs is by unifying and going in and essentially finding a way to collectively bargain with these outlets.
yeah, and the theme today has been kind of value from some of the other articles, and at the end of the day, it's gonna trickle down to the consumer.
Reaganomics.
And it's gonna hit your customer. So it requires some tactful navigation, I guess, and know your resources, your options, and maximize them.
Number 4 is no surprise to anyone. Labor shortages are going to continue to force a rebrand of what a hospitality career really is. I had the privilege of talking to a young man joining or revolutionizing his career in food and beverage and hospitality today. And one of the first things I said was to make sure that you're going to be wearing many, many hats.
Yeah, I had a leader at one point in time in my career that honed that adapt, improvise, and overcome model. Again, it applied regularly to many of situations, but it's true, and I think I probably have told many up and comers to remain flexible, and that with turnover, obviously it leaves more and more team members and managers and leaders strained. And you gotta find ways to get through it and work around it. So with that continuing into next year, again that challenges more organizations to really focus on ways to reduce turnover, keep the good team members that you got. I think offering mentorships and other paths. We talked about
Providing value.
Yeah, last week we talked about investing in your team and development and growth. Those are some of the things that those skills that your team is going to take up will help alleviate some of that turnover that you do deal with or minimize it.
As a leader in hospitality, when I was younger, I learned a very important lesson that your instinct is not always going to be correct. When you're short-staffed and you're busy, your instinct is to get in there and get dirty. And that's going to bust that one table, that's going to park that one car, that's going to clean that one room. But what you've eliminated is your ability to look at your entire operation. So while you're taking care of that one table, there are 50 others in your restaurant that aren't being supervised. You don't know what's going on in your entire operation. So it is important for young leaders to remember that sometimes the best way to help is to lead.
You know what I learned as a young leader?
Don't pee on electric fences.
That works too. I got yelled at and was told that if you gotta hoot with the Owls, you gotta soar with the Eagles in the morning. So you bring your A game.
Did you work for Ric Flair?
I don't know. I also was told you gotta pay the cost to be the boss. So
To be the man, you gotta beat the man.
I took that with me. I think that ties into from a development and skill standpoint. Obviously, being close to colleges here, the hospitality program at Kent State, I'm familiar with it. And we as a team, we have a great board that works closely with industry professionals and the School of Hospitality and Event Management, where we have to be ready to evolve and continue to provide the correct curriculum to up-and-coming hospitality professionals as they're going through their schooling. We have to prepare them for what they're going to run into in the real world here.
Yeah, definitely a practical education as opposed to a theoretical application or education, I'm sorry. Making sure that they're learning the cutting edge. AI obviously is a big topic, so understanding how that plays into it. Being financially aware. So many positions that used to not be burdened with some of those fiscal responsibilities, those responsibilities are trickling down. Like you said, everybody is now having to be, part accountant, part busboy, part leader.
Yeah, I think, again, shout out to Kent State here. They built a great design and design and informational hub, or innovation hub, I'm sorry. Where they have these labs and real life applicable scenarios that you can take care of while in there. You can learn. Great environment, but as you mentioned, you got to stay on the cutting edge of things and preparing these students for graduation and to head out into their new profession. Again, giving them those tools. And currently, one of the topics have been AI, and we got to find ways to incorporate that too into the learning and development of our young professionals.
Unlike the toilet roll of life, in this case, you want to be on the leading edge. Something else that's going to continue to affect our friends in hospitality is outsourcing. Maybe not up to this point, but in recent memory, some of the things we would outsource were some of the things that didn't really affect the day-to-day operations, but a lot more revenue management, a lot more of your purchasing, being able to again, like we talked about insurance, work as a group to get better rates on things. A lot more of that is going to be making a lot more sense when you outsource these days.
Yeah, that's something similar to like a Delaware North or one of those companies coming in and running the show.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
Yeah, another big, I think up at the not Jacobs Field anymore, Progressive Field up there. I think they run up there, and I work closely with a gal at Delaware North who helps manage the handful of casinos across the country where they run their food and beverage operation internally. So, yeah, I think again being efficient, finding ways to maximize what you can do internally, and then seek help and support where maybe it doesn't make the most sense for you to do in-house.
Yeah, it's no longer a bad word. For the longest time, outsourcing meant taking rank and file jobs and just finding a cheaper alternative for that. In this case, it's finding those professional level things where your organization might not be big enough to support that position. And at the same time, you may not be in a position to have a big enough operation to get the benefits that you should be getting with some of these things. So by outsourcing to a company that can consolidate multiple operations into one purchase, that could take learnings from your competitors and apply them to your business, you end up in a position where you have a team of experts, but you're not sacrificing any of that frontline service or those frontline team members.
Right.
And part of that is the supply chain. Obviously, I'm shocked that the word of the year here is tariff. We're all surprised at that, but they're continuing to feel squeezed. Most supply chains never fully recovered after COVID, so to run into some of the turmoil from this year in those international markets, vendors are still struggling with timelines, with shipping lanes, and also with tariffs. Prices are going up there too, so they're resulting in bottlenecks, and a lot of people are just moving away from some of those projects.
Yeah, I think again, good thing to be aware of as we go into next year, and plan ahead. Again, you want to make sure you're able to deliver and working with those companies that that give you a true timeline.
Shout out Mike Bales.
There it is. Now it's gonna drive me nuts. What's his other code name?
Oh, Haystacks. My man Haystacks.
Haystacks. Shout out to Mike. He always delivered, right? When working with him and his team, And anytime they didn't, they made it right, or they found a way to make it right. So, we know in life things happen, shit happens. But it's about then moving forward and finding a way to least minimize the impact, I guess, on your customers. And he definitely did that. So as we go into next year, prepare for that and make sure you consider that when you're doing business.
Yeah, as operators, there's not much you can do to unfuck it, but you can choose who you work with, folks that are honest, folks that are going to be giving you solutions and not excuses. So, make sure you're doing the due diligence on those partners.
Yeah, I saw the 8th one there. It said conversions are going to outpace new development. Any thoughts on that?
I mean, we talked a little bit about real estate earlier. There is an abundance of availability out there. Hospitality-wise, you look at the restaurants just here locally in Cleveland that have shuttered this year. It makes somebody want to ask some of our listeners if they want to open up a restaurant. But other than that, the infrastructure exists. There are a lot of incentives tax-wise that would be advantageous to take advantage of in these areas where these businesses, for whatever reason, were unable to be successful. But striking that whole build and going with new development, because of the supply chains, because of the insurance, close to an insurance crisis, frankly, at this point, there's so many risks to that new development. And then if you continue to have a slide, not only are your business operators going to be hurting, but you're going to have investors and builders and everybody that comes along with it, kind of in that same boat by putting all that risk up front into a new build. And there's character to old builds.
Absolutely. And I have a shout out to Mags and Katrina up in Wisconsin, up in Greenleaf. They have their LedgeStone Vineyards that they've been owned and operated for the past 5-10 years, and they just expanded down, I think, into Wrightstown, if I'm not mistaken, overtaking or building inside of what might have been an old bank, if I'm not mistaken, but found a way to again utilize that space. The city was happy to have them, and they just opened that up earlier this summer, and it's been very successful. So finding ways to repurpose. I think you asked me to buy a brewery that went out of business in Cleveland earlier this year, if I remember, and maybe a winery a year before that.
I believe that is absolutely true. Not only are you going to come into a situation where the footprint is made for what you're trying to do, but you're also going to ingratiate yourself to the community. So little thought is put into integration of the community when people are opening up a new hospitality concept. You're the stranger in the neighborhood, so you shouldn't be directing the conversation. You should come in and make yourself a part of the community rather than just something that exists within it.
That's it. And I think going with the trend that we've seen over the past handful of years too, going into next year, that we got wellness. More of a wellness conscious consumer, right? And Gen Zs and millennials focusing on their own wellness and the sustainability. And I think business and operations considering and being aware of that as they're continuing to offer up to each customer.
Yeah, it's kind of a natural extension of the organic trend that's been growing and growing. People want ethically sourced food now, which is just the right thing to do, frankly, from my seat. But, obviously being able to apply that to the value, knowing that part of that cost is going towards ethical treatment of animals or going towards, local communities, underserved communities. It's not just the price point that's attracting these younger customers.
Yep. And then the human juggernaut will remain the ultimate differentiator.
Everything comes down to people. And unfortunately, the more we depend on technology, the less we realize the importance of that human factor. The bed manager / IT person, the Mexican restaurant manager. There was technology involved in everything now. But when that fails, and it inevitably does, there's a person at the other end of that. And that really is where the rubber hits the road. It's those interactions. I don't remember the last time I had a great app interaction, but I sure as hell remember the last time that I had great service.
That's it. And again, I think that's along with the AI and app trend, again, not being fearful of it replacing jobs necessarily, but in the hospitality industry, that's one of the first things I think we all shudder when we hear about, technology and AI and things taking over. But that's what makes the service industry, and it is the people. And all of our stories, it revolves around the people and the service that was given, not necessarily the product or the technology that helped provide it.
AI can't give you a hug.
You look like you need one.
Maybe I do, Nate.
Keep waiting.
Well, that poured me up a little bit more of this Angels Envy. Why don't you tell us about a paperclip this week?
Yeah, I'm going to keep this one as short and sweet as possible. I've frequented Lowe's. I know just enough to get myself into trouble when it comes to renovations and doing some work around the house. And so I've gone to a lot of different Lowe's stores depending on where I'm at in the area here of Cleveland. And I stopped in this one on Black Friday, it happened to be, and I was expecting a madhouse, and I needed some help finding this particular type of Christmas light strand, go figure, that was on one of their advertised specials. And the first gentleman I got to, he literally was engaged and took the time to ensure that I found exactly what I needed. And although they were out of them in the store, he showed me how I could order them through the app and online.
Human first.
Go figure. And still receive that discount, but then proceeded to ask me, and I could really tell that he cared. Right? Or he was asking whether he wanted to or not. I felt he cared. To see if there was anything else he could direct me to throughout the store. So I said no. I like to be independent, cruise around, and find that next thing. I was looking for some shelving and like to upgrade Fort Knox every once in a while with a new camera or something. And I needed help getting into the cabinet that had the Google cameras. And so the guy's name was Jim Carrey. Right? Not the comedian Jim Carrey, but he had that same great name. And man, did he deliver. His energy, all he was doing was checking out or opening the glass box to give me a camera. And he offered then, hey, are you guys done shopping for the day? I'll be happy to check you out over here. He was in the flooring section. Proceeded to ask, was there any other stops? He'd be happy to, either go on them with us or hold the camera there until we were ready to check out. But then he also made sure that with the item that wasn't in stock, he offered and provided that same tidbit of information as the first guy had mentioned. And what I could tell from this store, just from checking out here, was that service and customer service was a priority for every one of their team members. And this store, this Lowe's is good about sending emails if you use your email for your receipt, or if you have an account through them, about sending their email asking how your experience was after your trip. And it just so happened that I had a great experience. He also said, if there's anything I could do, let me know. And you're going to get a survey, and hey, to be eligible for a $500 gift card, you got to answer it within 48 hours. I remembered his name. It stuck out, obviously. It was unique. But as I walked up to the front register, I forgot one thing, and I went to grab it on my way out. And the gal up there offered to scan the item for me, put it in the bag, and then take my credit card and make the payment for me right at the machine, even though it was a self-checkout line. And so, again, I asked her, I said, do they make you do that? And she said, well, no, they encourage us that when we have time available to assist all of our customers. But again, whoever's running that store, that manager, that Lowe's, shout out to them, because you can definitely tell when you're welcome, and you don't have to flag someone down. You don't seem like you're bothering someone when you're asking for help or assistance. And that's the experience in shopping that I want to have. So shout out to them.
Great job, Jim Carrey, today's team member du jour. That means team member of the day.
Oh, thanks for that. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in another time.
Another one.
Another one. Raising Spirits, a new standard podcast hosted by Will Hockney and Nate Geeson. Produced by Ashley Kuba. Theme music by Marcus McLaughlin. Musical director, Angel Flowers. Raise our spirits by following us on socials at RaisingSpiritsPodcast or visiting newstandardconsulting.com/raisingspirits.
Shut up.
See ya.